everybody. We're leveling up our Excel skills again here. We've got a more complicated experiment that we'll put the results into a table for. So here's our experiment. You can see we're growing some plants and we're investigating how the independent variable of the amount of shade affects the height of the plant growth, which is a dependent variable. So we've got 3 plants in full sun. Here are their heights after various numbers of weeks. So we've grown them for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And then we've grown 3 plants in 50% shade for 5 weeks. And then we've grown a control test in 100% shade for 5 weeks. So these types of experiments are more complex to show your data in, because we don't just have 3 trials, but we have 5 data points within each trial. So if we were going to set up our trials as the rows in the table, and then we have our full sun, 50% shade and 100% shade as the columns, well, it's going to be difficult to fit those 5 data sets in. We don't really want to have 5 columns within this one for all of our 5 weeks. So it's much better to have time going down in our rows for this table. So you're always thinking and planning your table ahead of time about what's going to be the most efficient rows and columns to display the data. All right, so with that being said, we're going to have time in weeks as our rows. So we have 0 down to 5 weeks for the time. Then we're going to have our 3 trials and our average for the full sun. So full sun we'll put in the row above, and then this row here we'll use as our trials 1 to 3. So copy and paste those across. Trial 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll need an average for the full sun test. And that means all these 4 columns are all part of the full sun. So we'll merge these 4 cells to show that they're all the full sun test. We'll copy those and paste them across. And now we've got our 3 trials for the 50% shade. And then the final column, we have our control test, which is 100% shade. All right, and that means that all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns, they're all measuring the height of our plants. So that means above that row, we'll merge and center. And then we have height of plant in centimeters. So remember, we're only ever putting our units in the heading rows, height here and weeks here. All right, our data is already prepared, so we can copy that in. We have our 3 trials for full sun, our 3 trials for 50% shade, and then our control test. And to work out the average, again, we can use our formula. So we press equals to open the formulas and start typing average. Then we'll double click on average. And we want to average the 3 trials for week 0. So we'll highlight these 3 cells, press enter, and now that's an average of these 3 trials. And we can use our copy formula and drag this small square down, and that copies all of our formulas in. If you have cells with formulas like these 6 here, you can then copy all of those and paste them into this column, and it remembers that it's counting the 3 cells to the left of it. So these are now the averages for our 50% shade. All right, like in our last video, if we've only measured the height of the plants with a centimeter ruler, well, 2 place values is the most accurate that we can be. So we'll use these increased decimals and and decrease decimals to go back to 2 place values at the maximum, because we can't be any more accurate than 2 place values if that's all we could measure with our instrument. All right, now it's about editing and formatting. So let's start off with centering everything horizontally and then centering everything vertically. This just needs to be one big box to show time. So we'll merge and center, and then we'll do wrap text. So it wraps over into the next line. The same with the control test here. These 2 boxes are both for the control test. So we'll merge and wrap text. It needs to be slightly wider. Okay. Then we'll put in our lines. So we need a thick border underneath our heading rows, so top and thick bottom border. And then we need a line underneath the height of the plants to show that's divided up into full shade and 100% shade. So we'll do bottom border there, and we've got our line underneath. We also need a line underneath full sun and 50% shade to show these are the subcategories within those groups. So we'll highlight these 2 cells and add a bottom border again. Okay, if we insert some cells here, insert some rows, we can see the table is nicely formatted, and all we need to do is add a caption. Always table 1, it's the first table of your article. And we want to be as descriptive as we can so that people can read the caption and they know exactly what the experiment involved without having to read the rest of your article or your report. So table 1, this is the growth height of, let's say they were tomato plants, over 5 weeks in full sun compared to 50% shade plus a control. Okay, that table's ready to copy and paste in and use it in your report.